Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah from the Florida Agritourism Association, and I'm excited to introduce Pam Hund. She is the owner of Treehouse Vero Beach, and her business is almost 3 years old. It's a startup she designed from the ground up, and she is the owner operator and has learned a lot through trial and error and wants to share some tips and tools she has learned trying to do all the things on a budget as a young business owner. Pam also serves on our board of directors, and I'm excited to have her present this webinar on marketing today. Go ahead, Pam.
Thank you, Sarah. Um, Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm really excited to nerd out on marketing. As Sarah mentioned, it's something that I've just kind of self-taught and out of necessity. So, designed my building and thought it would be more of like a part-time job, and I quickly learned that it's definitely a full-time gig, and so marketing has become a big part, and it's fun for me. So I wanted to share everything that I've learned and some different things that I've tried. So I'll go ahead and get started. So there's a PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see that? Let me get it on the bigger view. It's a window. Desktop. Um, Sarah, can you see that? Oh, here's the thing to make it bigger. Oh, come on. Escape. I'm just gonna have to do it like this so I can control the slides. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint?
We can see it. Yeah, sometimes Zoom is tricky when you're trying to share.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's big enough for you to see. I was trying to do the full desktop view, but it's making it not, it's making it so I can't click through the slides. So I'll just make it as big as I can. Okay. So marketing for agritourism and events. So I own a wedding venue. It's primarily weddings, but we also do events. So a lot of this is geared towards that, but I'm going to try to diversify for those of you that are not an event venue, so you can pick some content out of here that's useful too. So first of all, when you're starting your marketing, I think it's super important to start with your mission statement. If you don't have one of these for your business, it's definitely time to do it. And it seems scary, but it's very simple. Your mission statement is a really like elevator pitch. You can think of it as a one sentence bio. It's what you do, who you do it for, how you do it, and how it helps them. So an example of Treehouse's mission statement is Treehouse is the ultimate outdoor Florida wedding and event venue for party hosts who want to have an elevated outdoor experience. And you can see the picture on the right is my mission statement slash my goals. That was my brainstorm before Treehouse was even built. So I just wrote it down on a bright green piece of paper, and I actually pinned that to my bulletin board, and I still refer back to it at times when I'm trying to design content and trying to think of marketing schemes and stuff like that. So after you establish your mission statement or who you are and what you're doing it for, you want to establish your brand. I would spend a good amount of time doing some market research. So you want to look up other event venues or other agritourism places around the state to get inspiration, and also to see what sets you apart or makes you different from everyone else. Every one of us has our own little niche and we're all super unique. So I think it's really cool to find that niche and really go with that vibe. So um, you want to decide on the vibe that you want. With Treehouse, I picked like a modern tropical vibe. Um, Once you decide on your vibe, you want to establish a brand kit. So a brand kit is going to include all of the things like your logo, fonts that you typically use, colors that you're going to typically use, and any kind of messaging. So, for example, like if you want to be groovy as part of your vibe, you can think of like messaging things that go with your branding, if that makes sense. Ways to talk to people. Um, so a brand kit shouldn't be overwhelming. There's lots of tools that you can use to actually buy one or get inspiration and kind of copy the vibe. Some of my favorite tools for looking at branding options and ideas are Canva, Pinterest, and Etsy. Etsy has some for sale, so you can literally just download it and enter in your content. And it's like pictures and colors and fonts that someone has already thought of. So that's pretty handy. Once you establish your brand kit, you want to print it out. So I'm a big fan of like visual stuff. I print stuff out and put it on my bulletin board. And that way you can refer to it every time you're in your creative content mode. You can look at your brand kit and think, does this new idea that I have match my brand? And if it doesn't, then how can I tweak it to keep going back to my brand? Okay, so next is you're going to need lots of pictures. So I'm a huge, huge fan of professional pictures. I think that they're a must for a business. This is an example of a styled shoot that we did at Treehouse. You can see my iPhone picture compared to a professional photographer. And it's just night and day different. And I think that it's really important to use professional pictures in the very important places. So, such as your website, definitely some of your like packages or the first thing that people see on Google. Professional pictures are a must. So, the good thing is if you're an event venue, this is kind of included. So everyone hires a photographer for their wedding. And so you have access to all of these different professional photographers. And in my experience, every photographer that I've worked with is super happy to share all of their pictures. And of course, you always want to get permission from share their pictures. If you're not an event venue, I would consider hiring a professional to get your branding content. Let's say you're a sunflower, you pick on be right. You can plan a styled shoot and have pick some flowers, take pictures of that, and then you can use those professional photos for years to come. Um, Another option would be planning like photo shoots as part of your programming. So along the same lines, let's say it's a You Pick festival and there's families coming for a pumpkin patch. You could possibly set up like a photo shoot with some pumpkins and some haystacks and have a professional photographer there as part of your programming where people would actually get the pictures from the photographer, and then in relation or in exchange you could get pictures to use as content. So I also love working with professional photographers because it's really great networking. You get to work with people who are in your industry, and it's grassroots marketing. It's who you know, and so it's a really good opportunity to spread your brand. Okay, so professional photos are not the end all be all. So there's the iPhone I wanted to talk about too. I use iPhone a lot for marketing. Um, and your iPhone footage can be great. You just have to make sure, number one, I would personally make sure that you have an updated phone or camera. When I started my business, I think I had like an iPhone 3. So I splurged and got the latest phone so that the camera would be legit. If you're not very good with your phone taking pictures, I would definitely take like an online course or a crash course because it's got to be right. You can't use iPhone photos that are blurry or dark or, just not up to par. The composition needs to be correct. The subject matter should be your focal point. And for me, lighting is really important. Lighting should be bright. Well, it matches my brand anyway. The pros of using your iPhone is you can get a lot of authentic content. So a lot of people are into behind the scenes. It's BTS. And so you can video behind the scenes, and people really like to see all of that authentic in the moment, what's going on right now action. It's also easier than waiting. So sometimes you have to wait for a photographer to turn around an album for, several weeks to several months. And so if you get some pretty good shots with your iPhone, you can use those instantly, and same with videos. Um, I find that videographers take a lot longer to edit their content. And so if you have little videos on your iPhone, you can just upload those immediately to your stories or make little reels pretty quickly. One app that I have on my phone is called Lightroom. So Lightroom is free and you can edit photos that way. You can see the two examples on the bottom right. This was taken on my iPhone, and on the left, it's not edited, and on the right, it's edited through Lightroom. On the left is just an example of a video, and that's the same styled shoot of the bride that we were taking pictures of. And I like to get content of all of the vendors who are there that day. So when I share that little video, I'm really getting like quadruple marketing because I would always tag whoever else is in the video. So I would tag both of those videographers and the photographer, and then those people will likely share it on their social media. So it's really, spreading through all of the different vendors. Okay, so styled shoots. I think style shoots or brand shoots are a must. Here's an example of a styled shoot that we did actually before Treehouse was even open. So I was in the final stages of construction and I needed to start marketing. And there was no wedding happening anytime soon. As you know, events usually take about a year to plan. So I needed a wedding. So we designed this styled shoot, and in my experience, since this one, I've done, oh, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 of them. But in my experience, they've all been free to do. So all of the vendors have offered to volunteer, their part in exchange for the content. If you're going to tackle this, I would make sure you vet your vendors. And what that means is do your research and make sure that it's a vendor that you really would like to work with in real life. Look at their portfolios, make sure their stuff is really good. And it's a great way to network. I reached out to several wedding planners that I had never met, and I just liked their work. And I reached out to them to see if they would want to do style shoots with me. And they said yes. And so I met a lot of great vendors that way. To get your models, you can just do a casting call. I do casting calls on social media, like, hey, I'm looking for a model for this date, da da da, da. And I have literally hundreds of people respond who will volunteer to do it for free. In this picture, it's one of my friends, and then just another guy that I know from town. So it's not a real couple, in other words. So they just volunteered to help me out, and it looked like a good match. So I found that it's pretty easy to get models. One of the things that will be really cool is to go for an influencer. So a social media influencer is someone who has several thousand followers and has other people their age following them to kind of see what they like to do. So if you could get an influencer, some of them would charge, but if they're kind of like an almost influencer, they might do it for free. And that would be a really, really good way because people are already following that person. It would be a good way to model and kind of spread your reach. Um, I have found that clients really need pictures and ideas. So most people cannot imagine what a wedding looks like. For example, if they come for a tour and it's just, no table set up, nothing is looking pretty, there's no flowers anywhere, there's no ceremony arch, it's really hard for a lot of people to imagine. So they really need those pretty pictures um, to want to buy it. It's super fun to do style shoots because it gives you an opportunity to pull out like your best. So, in my experience, all of the vendors really go hard on these because it's like, this is my dream client that I'm trying to attract, and this is my dream aesthetic that I would like to do. So, you kind of pull out your best and show people what they could get with you. Okay, so um, styled shoots are cool, but they're a lot of work. So hopefully you'll have some real events going on too. And the thing that I like about real events is it's super authentic. There's models can only fake it so far as being in love, especially. But events are real people. Again, it gets connected back to that real person and all of their friends who follow them on social media already. And then people can imagine someone who looks like them and they're not necessarily like a perfect model. So I do like real events a lot. Um, Whenever you have a real event planned, I always look up the photographer first. So, of course, in the wedding industry, most people have a photographer. I look up who it is and kind of get an idea of their work before I plan on relying on their content. Um, Again, if it's not a wedding or an event who's going to have a photographer, you could always ask to hire a photographer. Like in the very beginning, I had an event who wasn't having one, and I said, "Hey, I have an up and coming photographer who would do this for free. Do you mind if they come and they'll give you some pictures?" And of course, everyone's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we'd love that." So that's an option too. So anyways, once you get these pictures from the real events, you really have to cull events that do not fit in your brand image. So let's say, like with Treehouse, my brand image is very tropical and modern. Sometimes I get weddings that have like lilac fake flowers from the dollar store. It's content that does not match my brand aesthetic and it doesn't fit in the vibe. And so unfortunately you do have to cull some things and just not include them. However, I would say with every event, there's probably a little bit of something that you could capture, whether it be the food or the drinks or just the trees looking pretty that day. There's usually something that does fit in. Whenever I get a gallery from a photographer, I download, well, first I go through a gallery and there's usually a couple thousand photos and I just pick my favorites. I try to pick between 60 and less because there's just too many. And I save those 60 either to a hard drive or to Google Drive so that I can return back to them and use them for years. So I would highly recommend doing the favorites right when you get the gallery. Otherwise, it becomes overwhelming, like trying to go back through full galleries and finding those good shots. Another thing I've come across is different photographers have their own brand. So I put two examples up. So on the left, you can see a photographer who has a very light and bright vibe. She's got some tropical colors, schemes, and just like true lighting, I would call it. And on the right, you have a photographer who is equally as popular, and but her branding is more orange. So it's got a really orange filter on it. You can see like the oranges and the reds that people are wearing are really saturated, and the grass is like super orange. Um, So for me personally, the orange tones do not fit in my brand. Like it would look out of place if you took one of the orange photos and dropped it into the branding on the left. So if you get a photographer who doesn't fit in your brand content, you can always look through their gallery for any black and white photos. And I found that black and white photos match any brand pretty much. Um, I would always do iPhone supplement at real events. So you never want to rely on the photographer who knows when you're going to get those pictures. And also, like I said, that authentic behind the scenes, someone's there recording it with their iPhone is really popular too. And of course, as I mentioned, if your business doesn't have a professional photographer as a rule, you could hire a photographer on occasion. You could incorporate it into your programming, set up a photo booth. We do occasional little mini shoots for families, which are super popular. There's a picture on the right. I introduced a new mural to Treehouse, and so a local photographer did a mini shoot in exchange. She took our pictures for free and took some pictures of Treehouse, and then all of the people who came, to pay her for mini shoots got their family shoots. So that was a fun, real event that turned into some content as well. Okay. So now we're going to move into the different social media platforms and what I have found by using them all. So Facebook is the largest social platform. There's almost 3 billion people on it. So it's the most saturated platform on social media. The pro to it, as you all probably know, is that everyone's on it pretty much, and a lot of people can see your content. The con to this is that it's harder to stand out. So there may be more competition, or people just have like millions of things on their feed. So it's harder for them to pick through and find you. Um, the demographics they say are a mix. So 30% is the highest demographic. 30% of users are aged 25 to 34, but that's really pretty low. So I think it's the most mixed age platform, which can be really good. And some things that I've done to stand out amongst the sea of it all. Number one is you can create events. So these are really cool because people can just add them to their calendars. It would be very helpful for any kind of public ticketed event that you're doing, or you pick operation or whatever. And they can see who else is going and stuff like that. And the next thing that I like to do is join groups that are related to my industry. So there's tons of wedding groups, and you can see the South Florida Weddings has 12,000 members. So that's going to be couples who are looking for a venue and lots of vendors who are part of that as well. So I occasionally try to join these bigger groups, or like even smaller groups that are really in my niche, and I post in those groups because if someone is in that group, that's more of a direct shot to the clients that you're trying to reach. And then I don't do this yet, but I want to. You can actually create your own group. So if you are like the most experienced at doing whatever it is that you do, you could create your own group. So that could be cool. So I just have to drink some water. Okay, so Instagram. So Instagram demographics are mostly Gen Z and millennials. There's 2 billion people who are using Instagram, so that's less than Facebook. Um, on Instagram, the look of your grid is really important. So the screenshot that I took is a 9 squares. That's your grid, and so that gives like your portfolio vibe. I know for me personally, and a lot of people my age, we use Instagram as the new search engine. Like if I'm going to look up somebody, I immediately look whether or not like their work is good or it's a place I want to go. So when I was talking about the different colors of photos and stuff, this is where it's really important that your grid seems consistent. So you wouldn't want to have just like a black hole in your grid, in other words. Photos and reels are equally as important. They for like the last year, they were saying that Reels did a lot better and improved your chances through the algorithm of being found by new followers. But they recently changed that. So they're putting equal weight into photos, which is nice. A lot of the creative people on Instagram were excited about that. Um, on Instagram, you can tag everybody that's in the photo. So it's a really good way of grassroots marketing and networking. Hashtags are also really important. I always do my hashtags in the comments section just so that it doesn't seem so overwhelming in my original post description. I just kind of like it in the comments and it's still attached to that photo. So if someone is searching for a Florida wedding venue, and they've never heard of me, they might search Florida wedding venue and look at all the hashtags and then kind of like scroll through those photos to find something. Um, your stories are super interactive. So this is where I use a lot of the behind the scenes footage where it's not going to be that beautiful, crisp, perfect picture for my grid. It's kind of like what's really going on in the moment is for your stories. And a lot of people will respond to that. You can also ask questions through your stories to get people to message you and respond. How often to post is a really debated thing, but what I found is that you have to do what's best for your personal workload and what you can handle. I think that, like me personally, I try to post 2 to 3 times a week. Some people say you have to post every day. I don't know. I think it's debatable whether you're going for like really trying to beat the algorithm or if you're going for being like an authentic business who's actually trying to connect with your clients, which is the vibe I go for. So that's why, it's only realistic for me to post like 2 or 3 times a week personally. Um, Descriptions can get hard. So you're posting the same content over and over. Weddings, weddings. What else can I say about weddings? So I found that it's really helpful to create some templates. And whenever I'm in a creative mode, I just kind of write these down or put them on my iPhone, like, congratulations, just married, like all the different templates that you could use for a post. And then you could go back and recycle a lot of those. Um, Another thing I do or I did a lot in the beginning was I created a 9 box grid for planning. So to the right, you can see it's associated with what kind of picture is on my grid. So um, if you draw a little box of 9 different slots or pictures or videos, I guess, and think of 9 different focuses of your brand that you would like to show. Um, it can be a really good way to diversify your feed and keep it interesting, but yet you only have to think of 9 ideas and then you can repeat it again. So, for example, after these 9 posts, I would start over again and do a bridal party shot again. So, it's just kind of a way to keep you organized and keep people interested. Okay, TikTok. So apparently TikTok is the new thing. The demographics are the youngest. So this is Gen Z, ages 18 through 24. There's 1 billion users right now on TikTok. So Facebook was 3 billion, Instagram was 2 billion, TikTok is 1 billion. So that means it's not as saturated, but it has the highest growth rate right now. A lot of the users spend 45 minutes a day on TikTok, which is insane to me. Some things I found through using TikTok is that it's much different from other social media. It's not like Facebook and it's not like Instagram. The videos seem to be very fast. So I've heard that your videos should be 6 seconds or less. You want super fast content. Viral sounds are likely to make your content get seen by a lot more people. So on your TikTok, there's a little toggle that's called the For You page, and you'll see a lot of people write hashtag FYP. That means For You page. So it starts to learn what the things are that you like to look at, and that is your For You page. And so on that page, you can just kind of see what it's showing you and pick the same sound and recycle those viral sounds. So, for example, if it's showing you a picture of a wedding with a song to it, what I do is I click on that song and I recycle that and use that song for my wedding video. So, just, I don't know, it's a way to find viral sounds that are in your niche. Um, I think the content seems to be like really funny, sometimes educational, but super entertaining on TikTok. Supposedly, you have to post 3 times a day to really build your algorithm, which is like insane. I personally can't do that, but I've been trying really, really hard to do a boost this summer. So I'll get back to you on if posting 3 times a day actually does increase your followers by a lot. I would say if you're going to try TikTok, to utilize someone on your team who is already into it, like if they're already a TikTok person, someone amongst your team who's into it would be the best person to do that platform. Okay, another platform I like is Pinterest, and Pinterest is very, very visual. Um, the demographics here are 76% female. So I would say in the wedding industry, a lot of our shoppers are going to be female. If you're like a U pick farm, probably not going to be your best platform. But if you're into, weddings, events, farm to table dinners, that kind of aesthetic agritourism, I would say it would be a good platform to be on. There's only 450 million users, so it's the least saturated out of the ones that I've talked about. And the cool thing about Pinterest is your pins are it can still be highly popular like a year later. Whereas on the other platforms, it's old news. It's all like, what's the current popular thing? So your live time is super long. Um, if you're a visual business, like it's obviously a visually inspired platform. And the goal of posting on Pinterest is obviously to get them to click outbound to your website. And you can directly link your website on my Pinterest for the most popular categories for the audience who follows me. And you can see that those people like to look at gardening, weddings, foods and drinks, event planning, and home decor were some of the highest percentage of what they're searching for. Okay, so using all those platforms, you're going to have to create your content. And so I want to show you some of my favorite tools that I use for creating content and making this doable and all look the same. So it all kind of looks like the same My Brand Kit. So one of my favorite tools is Canva. I love Canva. You can do Canva for free. I did it for free for a long time until I needed to upgrade, but it's full of templates. So the picture on the right, all I did was type in wedding venue flyer, and these are flyers that somebody has already created, and all you do is just type in your text instead, and it's done. You don't have to design anything, like it's already designed for you. If you are the type of person that likes to design, you can design things from scratch. So um, instead of using like, I don't know, something really old like Microsoft Word, you can use Canva to make it look pretty. You can drag and drop. It's very intuitive. And so you can have design freedom if that's what you're into. It gives you the ability to create content that's super consistent with your brand. So what I do is I pick a template and then I duplicate it and I change the content in it, but I use the same template. So let's say I do a marketing push like in January with some pictures and some text, and then I might recycle it again in March. I just change the pictures, change what the text says, but overall it's the same exact template. So you can duplicate and reuse your content, which helps keep your brand and it helps make your life easy. Okay, so the next one that I really, really, really love is Planoly, and there's a few different hosts, or I don't know what you call this platform like this. I've decided Planoly is my favorite, And you can do a free trial to see if you like it. And if you do like it, I pay $12 per month for this, but it really saves my life. So the cool thing about this is you can pre-schedule all of your content. On the left, you can see my pictures. And so I do a lot of batching, which means like I'll add like 6 pictures at once and I'll schedule when they actually get posted on my social media. Um, and the cool thing is, like, let's say there's the picture of the bride, it's all connected to all of the platforms that you want. So once it posts to Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all at the same time. So you schedule it to post to all of your platforms. So what Planoly does is links all these together and gives you some sanity. Um, Another cool thing about Planoly's calendar that some of these other things don't have is they have like national holidays on there, and they even have smaller holidays. Like you can see some of the green things. I don't know, like let's say it's National Margarita Day, like like stuff like that is on there too. So it gives you some ideas as far as content to create. Um, and then the other thing that you'll see is it says what time of day would be a good time to post. So on mine, it says like 2 p.m., 3 p.m., or 5 p.m. on a certain day. So it's telling me that most of my users are active at that time of day. So, like I said, when I batch it, I just pick like, okay, cool. They're all active mostly at 2 p.m. So I'll send it out at 2 p.m. and it automatically goes out at that time. So it's perfect for batching. I try to get on Planoly like once a month, which is really not that much. And I plan out the whole month, at least 2 posts per week. It doesn't take me that long. And I know I have something happening if I don't have time to create any like current stuff during that week. Um, Engagement season is always really challenging for me because it's the peak of our wedding season and it's also the peak of tours and inquiries and all of that. So then on top of it, to think of an engagement campaign is super tough. So my plan is to batch all of the engagement season stuff this summer, and it will actually go out and be posted in December, but I will be making it now and just saving it on Planoly. Okay, so Google. I think Google's kind of like common sense, but I didn't know this. And I don't think that many people do, but you can actually make posts on Google. So these posts are called updates. And when people Google you, they see whatever pictures you've added, whatever pictures review, like people have added with reviews, and they see whatever pictures are in your updates. So it's a really good way to keep adding content that you want to control. Um, I have a lot of people leave reviews for Treehouse, but the pictures are like not that great quality, which is fine. Like I love a review. But with my updates, I can really control the amount of good pictures that are showing. And also, I think that it shows that you're active, you've got stuff going on. I try to do it at least once a month. It's kind of hard in season, but the updates are time stamped. So, if you're looking up a business and you're like, wow, they haven't posted anything since 2000, it kind of gets you thinking a little bit. So I try to keep it pretty current. Um, Getting reviews is like so important. I'm going to work on that this summer, like asking everybody that has gotten married this season. But there's a little link on your Google analytics page. Let's see, it says ask for reviews. And so if you text that link directly to people, it's just the easiest way for them to find you and not have to do any work. They just click on your link and start reviewing. Okay, Two Bright Lights. So Two Bright Lights is a free online networking, I don't know what you call it, platform. And what it's for is for publishing. So this is for publishing in print magazines and in online blogs. Um, Two Bright Lights is awesome because you have a really long life. So um, let's say somebody gets married in October, it may not go to be published in a magazine until like a year later. So it has a much longer life again, as far as your content goes. Like you can use old content for a long time. Um, you can choose between an exclusive publication. So we had a publication, I think it's called Florida Bride magazine. That's one of the ones that's exclusive. So that means that if Florida Bride wants to post or print your wedding, they don't want any other magazines to post it. So those would be the ones that are exclusive. So it's just one shot. Or you can choose non-exclusive. And non-exclusive is when you may be having the same wedding um, posted on a couple different online blogs throughout the world. And so that's up to you to choose which route you want to go, but I personally try to save those like really, really pretty special ones for exclusive um, publishing, and exclusive tends to have like a lot more for like those bigger magazines, and so it really gives you some street creds. Um, Another cool thing about Two Bright Lights is the venue can upload it, the planner can upload it, or the photographer can upload it. So a lot of times the photographer will be like, hey, this was a really, really beautiful wedding. You should upload it. And I kind of have them do the work, and all of the vendors, once it gets published, are all, listed and named. So we all get credit for that event. So I love Two Bright Lights, and it gets you some um, big reach. Okay, blogging. This is a lot of different things to do, but I'm trying to show you like all of the options and all of the things that I've dabbled in. Um, so blogs are free. So the cool thing about blogs is just your time. And some of us are geared more towards writing, and some of us are geared more towards photos. So if you feel like a bloggy type of person, it's really a cool way to do some marketing. Usually there's a template built into your web host. So I use Wix as my web host, and there's literally a template on there. I don't have to design anything, and I can create a blog in literally like 5 minutes. So I would check your web host for that. It can increase your website visits by 55%, they say. Um, there's also a lot of free example blog post templates as far as like the writing of it. So if you're not a writer and you have no idea what to write, um, I put a picture of Sarah does SEO.com. This is a real blog template. So it's got, it doesn't show them all, but it has like 10 different questions on it. And so every blog that you do, you could potentially use those same different 10 questions. So it just makes it simple to have a template like that. Whenever you make a blog, it boosts your SEO, and it also, like a web, leaves you to the other vendors. You can always tag all the other vendors and their websites. So now, like, you're clickable between all of the different websites. Um, a blog builds trust and customer relationships. I think people really like to read about real events, and especially see a few example like full portfolio type things. Um, if you do e-blast, it gives you something to put in your e-blast. So as a wedding video, if I capture someone's email, it's like, hey, are you looking for a place to get married? Hey, are you looking for a place to get married? Like, what can I really say to them other than like, when are you ready to get married? So I think sending an e-blast to be like, check out this cool wedding that just happened. It's a very easy way to get in touch with your clients without having to ask them a question. You're just sharing information, you're inspiring them, educating them maybe. And so it's a cool way for people to subscribe and um, get in your emails. So email campaigns, super important if you're the type of business that has repeat clients, especially like a U-Pick operation. You know, people want to subscribe and see what you've got coming up. And so I would say that that's a must for those of you with repeat clients. For venues, it is a little harder to justify spending your time on this because you're trying to find a new client all the time. You know, people get married once, and so um, it's harder to find reasons to email. But if you're going to do email marketing, you definitely want to put your subscribe button on your website. I would put a button on every single page of your website. A way to get people's emails is offer freebies. So just like in the last slide, this girl Sarah, she got my email because she was like, "Hey, I'll give you a free blog um, questions if you send me your email." So I did it. She has my email. I got something free. So now she can market towards me for other things. So offering freebies is a cool way to grab people's emails. You can of course have sign-ins at events, and then as far as sending these actual emails, I just looked up on the right some of the best email marketing services that are popular. I use my website just because it's easier for me to keep everything in one place. But again, I use Wix, and Wix has an email campaign section already on it, which is amazing. Okay, so this one's a little, I guess, out of the ordinary, but I personally have a focus group, and I think this is so important to, especially if you're a small business owner. You're working a lot by yourself or maybe with your family. Maybe you have a small team, but you're kind of in your own tunnel. You're kind of in your own hole. And so it's hard to think outside of the box of what people who aren't in your industry are thinking about you. So I have this focus group that we have been meeting with ever since Treehouse was designed. So throughout the entire journey, I lean on these girls and ask them, "Hey, what do you think about this idea? Um, Give me some keywords that come to mind for this. What's a caption for this? What's some content you'd like to see?" So again, none of these girls are in the wedding venue industry, and so it's a good way to get other people's perspective of what they want to see, and keeps you inspired. Um, Something that I think about is I tell myself always be marketing. And I always try to circle back to my brand. I'm super highly creative and I get new ideas like every day, and then I have to tone it down and say, keep it simple, stupid. Stick to your brand, just stick to what you're doing. Keep keep hounding your niche. So I printed out my brand kit. I have it above my desk and I always refer to it when I get a crazy idea. I'm like, it doesn't match my branding. And then I also wanted to mention that advertising, social media, all of that, where you're trying to grab people's attention is really just the beginning. So once you do grab your attention, your packages should follow your brand, your emails should follow your brand. All of your things should be consistent. And on the right, you'll see this is the cover of my packages. So when they get the email and they're looking for pricing and all the policies and stuff, it's like beautifully curated to match my brand. All right, it's almost been an hour. So you may be overwhelmed. I feel like I talked about a lot, but I just want to tell you don't be overwhelmed. I try to include as much information as I possibly can. Again, these are all of the things that I've tried and dabbled in over the past 3 years. And I would say it's a lot of work. So do not try to do every single one that I mentioned because you will fail at all. It's too much. It's better to do one of these options really well than spread yourself too thin. I would say you could pick 3 that you feel the most interested in or that you feel that will be the most helpful to you. People tend to excel at certain platforms just because they like them. So I have a friend that has like 50,000 followers on TikTok, but she just loves TikTok and she's a TikTok girl and that's the way it is. And I'm better at Instagram. I just understand it. I like it. So anyways, pick ones that you like. A lot of this work can be batched. So, like I said, I take 1 day per month to upload to Planoly and really batch my work. I don't do this every day. Um, and then a lot of it can be done in the off season. So, some of those other things that aren't as important, like too bright lights, doing publications, I put that on the back burner until off season. Blogging, asking for reviews, all of that can happen. After you're done and you're out of like work mode. Um, and then the last thing I want to say is be careful of people who are supposedly social media marketers. So I tried hiring so many different people for this job, and I think almost everyone claims that they're really good at social media. And so it's challenging to find someone who actually really is and is worth the money. So if you're like, I can't do it, I just need to outsource, that's totally fine. But if you do outsource, I would check their credentials really heavily, get clear on exactly what they do. I had some issues with people really just not doing that much actual work. And then price shop. It should not be expensive. This is a very competitive industry right now, so it should not be expensive at all to hire someone to do some social media marketing for you. So that is the end of my PowerPoint. I'm going to try and switch it back over to the video and see if anyone has any questions. I don't want to do that, do I? Okay, I'm back.
I just changed it. You're good.
Okay. Thought I canceled it all out.
So, do we have any questions? That was really good, Pam. You were full of information. That was a
So much
lot, but
information. I'm sorry.
that's okay. It just so everyone knows, I do record these. So
Yeah, I
yes,
just feel like if you already market, like a lot of that's kind of you already know that. So I wanted to like get some actual real good info in there too for people who are already doing a lot of it, and then info for people who aren't doing it yet.
right.
But let's see what the chats. Are there any questions? No. Okay.
Let's see any questions. A couple more seconds. Anyone have any questions, any follow-ups for any of the platforms Pam discussed? I know a lot of you are on social media because I stalk you on Facebook and Instagram,
Yeah,
but some
Sarah,
of the stuff
you
is
excel
new.
at Facebook. See, you're a Facebook girl. I don't
Yeah,
get.
I'm
I'm
old.
not as I mean, I don't know. It has so much information to me. It's like
Yeah.
overwhelming.
So this was excellent, Pam. This is Lena, and if you didn't catch all the recording, it's certainly, I'm sorry, any of this podcast, any of this
Where are we?
webinar, what format are we talking about here? Then you can catch Pam also live in person at our conference that is scheduled in Gainesville, July 9th through 11th at the Hilton, and also at some member ranches. We'll have a free farm tour. But all that information is at www.fataconference.com. I had to do a little commercial there, Pam, for you to see if
Yeah.
anyone has any questions. But this was remarkable. I mean, this is everything you need to know to open the marketing side of agritourism operations. So thank you very much for your awesome knowledge today.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share the things that I've learned.
I got a quick question, but are you seeing like an upward trend of agritourism over Disney trips and things of that nature where people are kind of just wanting something different?
Yes, personally, I think that, I mean, it might be one of those things where I didn't even know what agritourism was until I opened my business, and then I started seeing it everywhere. But I totally feel like it's trending. And there's so many people who are like getting into homesteading and looking for those natural experiences. So I think it's super duper trending.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is people are like really traveling for it now. Like people will travel hours to go do a farm experience.
Right. We're a harvest host camp. So people traveling through, going to other destinations can stay a night. And
Uh,
we're not like the destination, but we're or at least a stop on their destination.
yeah, that's really neat.
So Pam, how do you reach your local market space?
What does that mean?
Carl, you want to explain what you mean?
Like my local, like my Vero Beach local people, or yeah, what do you mean, Carl? My neighborhood? Um,
Is this
well,
like, do you mean working with your neighbors?
I I always tag where I am, and I have noticed that some people tag the wrong place. So, for example, if you're a photographer based out of Fort Lauderdale, you might tag that you're in Vero Beach or Jacksonville just so people there like find you. And I personally don't do that. Again, I'm at an actual location. So I think it's important to tag the actual location. So, as far as reaching local people, I also use hashtag Vero Beach, Florida, hashtag South Florida, hashtag Space Coast, Florida. Like, so I try to keep it as far as location wise, reach people that way. And then also networking with all of the different vendors and the actual real people that are coming to your event. So anytime real people are okay with you tagging them and sharing on their stories, then all of their friends get to see it too. And I think I've never had anyone tell me that they don't want me to post them. So almost every wedding I say, do you mind if I take some videos of you behind the scenes and post it? And I've never had anyone tell me no. So then though, the couple loves the video, they share it on their profile and then all of their friends see it. So um yeah. Oh yeah, behind the scenes. Yeah, behind the scenes is so popular, and I think agritourism is such a interesting niche. A lot of people are so curious, like, what's your day to day like? What do you do? How did you get this business? They're just confused by all the things going on. They're like, what do you mean you're selling lychees right now? I thought you were a wedding venue, or vice versa. Like, what do you mean you have weddings out there? So, I think the behind the scenes is really cool.
That is a boring question, but insurance wise, I joined late. I apologize, but it is there like a good market out there for insurance as far as good coverage that doesn't cost you a fortune? I know that can be difficult, especially these days. Like, I keep wanting more and more information about what you're doing.
Um, you mean what kind of insurance do you mean?
Like overall, like liability insurance.
Oh, um, I I personally don't really share with the public like where I get my insurance, but I just use a local company personally. Where from what it is. Oh, um, Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean.
So at our conference, we have two people speaking. They offer two different kinds of insurance. Indem offers insurance specifically for venues. We have a lot of farms who require the couple carry liability insurance.
Yes, we do that too. We use Event Helper for the couple to get their day of liability policy. And then so we have our own policy. The couple will have or the host will have their own policy. And then we also require all of the vendors to have their license and insured. So especially bartenders and caterers.
Okay.
All right, well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll let everyone get on to the rest of the afternoon. Pam, thank you so much.
You're so
This was
welcome.
very enjoyable. A lot of information.
Thank you. I'll see
Yes.
y'all soon.
Yes, we hope to see everyone in Gainesville. I know Carl's going to be there. Pam and Len and I will be there. We've got almost everyone on our board will be there. We've got some great speakers. Lots to do, lots to learn. Do you share your pricing when marketing? That's one more question.
Okay. No, I do not share my pricing up front. I have toyed with that idea before. As a consumer, I'm not gonna lie, I like going on websites and finding out how much stuff costs. But as far as my sales process, I have found that it's better to have the client have a little bit more tooth in the game before you share your pricing. And we do a little bit more of a sales process before we reveal the price. It's not that much, but they just have to tell us like their names, their emails, their phone numbers, when their date is, and a few different information things like that before they get our packages. And another thing that I learned the hard way was that I've changed my packages like probably way too many times in the first year or two. And so somebody might see your package on last year, and then they look on your website again and see it's different. And they say, well, why did you change the price? And why does this cost less? And why does that cost more? And why did that, it was just, it didn't work for me. So I know that there's different routes that you could take. I would say if prices are not going to change and it's easier for you, um, that would be your prerogative. But like I said, for our sales process, we've decided to not share it until we start to form a relationship with the customer.
Thank you. And that's what we've been toying with too. We're back and forth. We should share it. No, we shouldn't share it. We should share it. No, we shouldn't share it. Because then you wind up doing, a million private tours, especially when you're new and you're trying to get your name out there. So I feel like I'm touring all the time. And so I think what I'm trying to commit to now is to find out what their budget is. So once I find out what their budget is, because if it's someone that really should consider a backyard wedding, because I had a bride like that that's going to get married here in December. In all reality, she should have been a backyard bride. And not to say that's a bad wedding. That still can be a great family wedding. But I want to avoid those if I can.
Yeah, so I always share the price before they come on a tour. I don't have them come for a tour and surprise them. I just mean that I don't show it like right away. So they have to fill out a contact form for me, and then they get the pricing, and then they can decide if they want to come for a tour. And I also, on certain things, I have like prices start at $6,000. That way you kind of weed out those people who know like, okay, it's somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000. So they're not going to waste your time, because you cannot spend all that time on in-person tours with bad leads.
Right. I agree. Okay. Good to know. I like that process.
And I use HoneyBook. I don't know if you use like a CRM, but it's a really great way for people to fill out the contact form. And so if you have any questions about that, you can email me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, if there aren't any more questions, I guess we'll wrap it up. And I look forward to seeing most of you in Gainesville, I hope,
See you
July 9th through
soon.
11th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
I
Pam.
will be there. See you girls then.
Oh, good. Look forward to it, Karen.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.